Welcome back to our live election night coverage on NewsNet5.com. While we were gone, the Associated Press has called the U.S. Senate race in Ohio for incumbent Sherrod Brown over Josh Mandel. Currently, Brown leads Mandel by about 52% to 43%, about a 200,000 vote difference, running about 100,000 votes ahead of the president in Ohio right now. Lee Weingart joining us here. Any surprises with the calling of the race at this point?
Yeah, I'm not surprised. The polling consistently had Sherrod Brown running between 5 and 8 points ahead of Josh Mandel throughout the last 3 or 4 months of the campaign. We said that he would run 4 or 5 points ahead of the president in Ohio, and so this is all coming true. Right now you're seeing in the state of Ohio about 100,000 vote majority or a lead for President Obama, which is about the size of the majority in Cuyahoga County. So right now they're kind of running 1-1, the statewide lead and the Cuyahoga County lead for President Obama.
And we're seeing, yeah, about almost equal to what, that's how the game ended up being played out 4 years ago. Your thoughts on the Mandel Brown race?
Well, what I find interesting is that, this is one of the most heavily spent races by outside groups, this one and a couple of others, and this was one where really a lot of the outside groups thought they were going to take this seat, they were going to beat Brown, running as the candidate of change, the candidate of youth. And that didn't work. I think at the end of the day, this was Brown proved himself as being a candidate who resonated with voters, whose experience counted as a positive. And in Mandel's case, I think in some ways he jumped too soon. He may have moved a little too fast. And it does say something about no amount of money can make up for those kinds of differences in a race where clearly, as Lee said, Brown had this pretty consistent lead. Now, does it mean there isn't a bright future for Mandel? By no means. I mean, he ran pretty well as a statewide. He's still he's still treasurer of the state. So I certainly will see him again, I think, and have learned some lessons from this race.
And think about it. If he keeps it within 5 points, so say it's 52, 48 or whatever it is, that's a good race. Your first time out, and historically in Ohio, Republicans have to run once statewide for Senate and lose.
Right.
George Voinovich did it, Mike DeWine did it, Josh Mandel's 35 years old, he could run for another 30 years.
Right, exactly.
One of the other close races we were watching is the 16th Congressional District race, and the Secretary of State's office website, Tara, is having its bug. So if you could say in my ear what you are seeing on the graphic in front of me.
That's
it's 16%. Literally 50-50 at this point in the particular race. Bode well for who?
Well, so that tells you Betty had a 5,000 vote lead in the early voting. So that is now closed up to be 50-50. Renee will probably continue to pick up votes as they count the votes people who voted today. So as we said earlier tonight, it seems to me that Betty needed a bigger lead coming into the voting today to hold on to that seat or win that seat.
Obviously, this is one of the ones that both parties spent a lot of money on, Tom.
Oh, absolutely.
Key, when you have two incumbent congressmen going up against each other, different parties, a lot on the line here.
Yeah, and this is one of only 2 House races in the country where you had incumbents pitted against each other. I think one of the things this shows is the difference in strategy. The Sutton race and also the Obama race statewide focused very much on grassroots organizing to get out the vote early, and we saw those advantages, as we've talked about, when those votes were released. I think on the Republican side, it was more of a grassroots organizing in general, but really more of a focus of we expect these people to vote on Election Day, particularly in rural areas, which is a large part of this district, and I think that's where we've seen this gap close. And if that holds true, this could bode well for Renee come the end of the night.
While we were gone also, Pennsylvania was called for President Barack Obama. Again, those polls only closing about an hour and 40 minutes ago. We thought this was a race that could go into the night. Clearly, it was not.
Well, and they called it with a very small percentage of the vote in, which tells you that the votes, when they came in from parts of the state that should have supported Romney and maybe didn't support Romney. So, that became an easier call than we expected. You're right, but they still haven't called Florida or Virginia, and certainly not Ohio.
And Florida, Tom, I mean, my gosh.
Florida, we've seen a difference now. It looks like, according to their elections watch from their Secretary of State, 15,000 vote difference. But that's 15,000 out of 6 million votes cast. So it's less than a half-point difference between the candidates.
Is that Romney or Obama?
This is in favor of Romney.
Yeah.
It's just a slight edge.
Well, what we'd heard was the Panhandle counties had not come back yet. They voted an hour longer than the southern Florida voters did. So if that is true, if they are waiting for returns from the northern part of the state, that has to bode well for Romney.
Right.
And right now in the state of Ohio, the difference between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney, 103,000 votes. So, we saw that that 117,000 vote majority coming out of Ohio out of Cuyahoga County with early voting, holding up statewide, shrinking a little bit, as you mentioned. It's a 51 to 47% lead for President Obama as the numbers continue to come in.
Well, it was 57, I think 42, right, after the state early votes. Now we're 51-47, so it's shrinking dramatically. The question is, can it continue to shrink, this cushion that President Obama has, so that Romney can pick up the votes he needs on Election Day here to win the state? And time will tell, but I think it's going the right way for Romney.
Checking with Peter Lawson-Jones. He's sitting over watching television with Leon Bibb over here. You guys doing any work?
This is work.
This is work. What are you finding out there?
Well, I'm fascinated by what I see in Florida now. 50-50 with the president having a, oh my goodness. Well, a couple of things about Florida. The president had been up, then he was down by about 1,000, then down by 600, now up by about, I think it was 14,000 votes. The fact is that if the president wins Florida, it really doesn't matter what's going to happen in Ohio, because those are 29 electoral college votes, probably the third largest number of electoral votes in the entire nation after California, Texas, and maybe New York, maybe number 4. And that's game, set, and match. So I'm paying a lot of attention right now to Florida. There are some interesting things we've seen that Romney's running a little stronger in Wisconsin and Colorado, at least at this juncture, than had been predicted or than I thought he would. I thought both of those states, Colorado and Wisconsin, would ultimately be Obama states. But again, we might not even have to be concerned ourselves with the result here in our own home state if in the Sunshine State the president prevails.
Mitt Romney, you're trailing President Obama here in Cuyahoga County by about 119,000 votes, holding up kind of along the same lines, along state lines. We're seeing pretty much a 50-50 split of the votes that are beginning to come in. Do you look for at certain points of the night in Cuyahoga County? Can you indicate? I was asking Lee earlier. Do you expect? Okay, earlier in the night we're going to get votes from. Are there certain suburbs that tend to come in faster, or is it a city that tends to come in faster, or?
That used to be the case. I mean, if you go back 10 and 20 years, you would find that the city of Cleveland, which was always, well, for at least during my lifetime, has been decidedly Democratic. Those were the last votes that would be counted. That's been less the case. It seems like the votes pretty much come in from most of the communities at about the same time, given the way the electoral process and elections are conducted in Ohio right now, in Cuyahoga County right now. So I don't think we'll see all of a sudden, somebody's ahead by a large margin, and then that margin evaporates because the votes have come in a concentrated way from communities that are more supportive.
That used to be the way, if I can jump in.
Go ahead.
That used to be the way it was down in when I was in Columbus. Cuyahoga County votes were among the last to come in, and the whole election would turn upside down because Cuyahoga County and the rest of Northeast Ohio votes came in so much later. But it's not that way.
In such high numbers for Democrats.
In such high numbers for Democrats. But it's no longer that. It doesn't seem to be a big dumping of votes all at one time that changed the whole tenor of an election.
I agree. Yeah. So, but I think right now our eyes ought to be on Florida.
We are keeping an eye on Florida. I want to check back in with the folks down in Columbus. As we mentioned, the Associated Press calling the U.S. Senate race for Sherrod Brown over Republican challenger Josh Mandel, the state treasurer, trying to duplicate what he did in 2010 and becoming the highest vote getter on the Republican side when he ran the state treasurer's race. I want to check in with Bob Jones down at Sherrod Brown's headquarters. And Bob, I can imagine a lot of euphoria down there in Columbus.
Is this for TV or for the web? Anybody know? Okay, well, I want to tell you there was a large roar that just went up here at there's a large roar that just went up here at the Hilton in downtown Columbus because the Associated Press declared that Senator Sherrod Brown has defeated his Republican challenger Josh Mandel. So we have not heard from Senator Sherrod Brown at this time. However, we do expect that he'll come out sometime probably within the next hour. We have not heard a concession speech or any timing from Josh Mandel's camp. But again, the Associated Press has said that Sherrod Brown has won re-election. 6 more years in the Senate for Sherrod Brown in a race that was hotly contested, very expensive, one of the most expensive races, if not the most expensive Senate races in the country. An estimated $85 million was spent in this race. But again, the big news coming out of Columbus right now, Sherrod Brown has been re-elected. We expect to get more reaction in a little bit. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Bob Jones, reporting live from Columbus Democratic headquarters. And again, we're monitoring all the situations, all the feeds from all around the country. We got the Boston headquarters of Romney and Ryan. We got the Chicago headquarters of Obama and Biden. This is the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections over here. And again, we're keeping our eye on the situation. We see Bob down in Columbus. We have Michael Baldwin down at the Republican headquarters down in Columbus. So we're going to be checking in with all of them throughout the course of the night as we wait for these results to come in. Again, Sherrod Brown winning tonight in the race for the U.S. Senate. What we're waiting to see is what's going to happen with the race for the White House when it comes to Ohio. Senator Brown leading President Obama in the early results by about 4 percentage points. Again, there's only about 117,000 votes or so separating the president and Mitt Romney right now in the state of Ohio. Right now, the focus for most of the country is on Florida right now because it is neck and neck literally down here. We've been watching the results coming in on the Cuyahoga, on the Secretary of State's website. However, when you go, well, actually, this is up right now, so I'm going to take it because it's been crashing for a good part of the night. Check out the race for the 16th district between Jim Renacci and Betty Sutton, pretty much neck and neck, with Jim Renacci now moving into the lead against Betty Sutton, 51 to 48% with 160,000 votes in. For much of the early part of the night, Betty Sutton started off with about a 5,000 vote lead. Jim Renacci beginning to take that over. And since the site is up, let me see if I can get to some of the breakdown on some of the counties' vote for the presidential race, because we're monitoring some of the bellwethers here in, oh, excellent. It is working now. All right, Lake County. This is one of the bellwethers that has been true in many of the past several presidential elections. And right now, the president, Barack Obama, trailing Mitt Romney in Lake County by about 2 percentage points. So that is one that's going to be interesting to watch. One of the other bellwethers that we keep an eye on here in northeast Ohio is Stark County, a county that has traditionally gone for the presidential winner, with the exception of 2004 when they went for John Kerry. And their results, as they begin to come in, they got off to a strong lead for President Obama as a result of some of the early voting, and we'll see if that vote is holding up. Yes, actually, these are pretty much early voting numbers that we're seeing right now. 66 to 32%. So we'll continue to monitor that. We're monitoring Hamilton County and some of the other sections of Ohio. And one of the things that Tom Sutton was pointing out to me earlier, when he was looking at the breakdown in some of the regions of Ohio with some of the vote, and you were saying southeast Ohio.
Right.
What are you seeing down there?
Well, Southeast Ohio is breaking for Obama at this point, which is a bit of a surprise because this is coal country, and we know that the coal industry was solidly against President Obama with his policies related to the EPA and closing old coal-fired plants. So we thought that this normally Democratic area, but which has a Republican congressman, Bill Johnson, we thought this one was going to break in favor of Romney. But at this point, the numbers are breaking in favor of President Obama, although in Belmont County.
Well, it actually changed now.
Has it changed?
This move is now in favor of Romney.
The Tea Party.
Oh, it has.
49 to 40, less than
Yeah.
0.2%.
Interesting, though,
By
we
a
talked
very
about
narrow
this.
margin.
Belmont County, which historically has gone for Democrats in 04 and 08, in both cases, Bush lost by 3,000 and McCain lost by 2,000. Romney now running ahead by 4,000 in Belmont County. Not big numbers. I'm not going to swing the state when you compare Cuyahoga County. But if you're running ahead in counties that we've lost, Republicans have lost in the last 2 elections, there might be a little bit of boomlet down there in southeast Ohio.
And one of the things we're also seeing, I was just talking about the results are coming in from Lake County, 2% Mitt Romney lead at this point of the race.
Starting to pull ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, and we're seeing this statewide, right? So we're seeing it in northeast Ohio and southeast Ohio. I haven't checked central recently, but I mean, slowly but surely, he's whittling away at that majority that the president had, who's now below 51% in the state.
Very good. We're going to break things away for NewsNet News Channel 5 cut-in. We're going to continue our coverage here on NewsNet5.com in just a couple of minutes. So stay with us here on NewsNet5.com. We'll see you in a few.